Are men stronger than women?
How are we quantifying strength? Hold on.
Physically stronger.
Well, how do you quantify?
Explosive power. Grip strength is like one of the best ways to quantify.
One thought that I've been having is, how can we quantify strength and, in what situations? Because I remember you brought up somebody had brought up the situation with the roommates and who would I want to defend me? I would want the strongest person to defend me.
Yeah,
okay.
Here's maybe a good way you can quantify it. When you're walking around in your daily life, who do you see lift up more heavy stuff, men or women? Usually. Who's lifting up the heavier stuff?
Does that include heavy people?
Women
it includes everything.
Everything.
Everything that could ever be in existence. Who's picking up the heavier stuff? Who's carrying the couches? Who's loading the trucks? Who's who's doing all that stuff?
Actually, my response to that is both, because my stepdad will usually be one of the ones moving stuff, and then he will recruit my younger sister, who is super heavy in the gym and all that, over another.
Is your stepdad stronger than your sister?
I don't know. They're about equal. She probably works out more than him, but he's a police officer, so
that's also the argument.
She probably didn't have a firm father growing up. Like, the lights are on, but nobody's home. She knows the answer, but doesn't want to say it, because everybody knows that deep down, if men competed with women in sports, this will be the exact result.
Who is stronger, military women or skinny guys who don't work out? Now, the YouTuber Austin Alexander wanted to see if male testosterone is actually as overpowered as people said by taking 3 guys who don't have much muscle at all and seeing if they can outperform women in the military. Now, the first event was trap bar deadlift to see who can get 50 reps with 135 pounds faster, and it was a pretty close race, I will say, but the skinny guys did beat the military women by just a few reps. Next up was arm wrestling, best 2 out of 3. First round, the military women beat the guys, but the second round, the skinny guys beat the military women, which I was shocked about. The girl he was up against was jacked. The third round was actually very close. This one took a while to finish, but the military women did end up winning. The next round was a 1v1 tug of war, and for some reason, for all 3 rounds, the women could not beat the guys. I mean, looking at the guys, they're probably 50 pounds less muscle than the girls are, but for some reason, they were still able to beat the women every single time. Next event was the Pugil push, which I was most excited for. You pretty much just have to use brute strength to push the other out of the circle. For the first round, the guy was somehow able to push the girl out, but for the second round, the girl was able to push the guy out. And for the final round, the skinny guy was able to push the military-trained woman out of the circle, which means the guys won this entire challenge.
But wait, there's more.
This is why people hate WNBA players. Liz Cambage, a 6'8" all-star, 1v1 this 5'8" retired D3 hooper, assuming it would be an easy game. Liz was so confident, she even said this.
So easy.
And once he heard that, he started playing for real. Liz realized she was starting to lose, so she began calling fouls, even though she simply just missed. Liz even committed offensive fouls that the guy didn't call on her. Things started getting tense as he was scoring, so when she got the ball back, she called this an and one and started talking trash. When he started hitting shots, she even had this to say.
You made one? That's cute.
Liz still didn't respect the shot, so he hit another one in the same spot. After Liz got the ball back, she called this a foul, and we never got to see the full 1v1.
Imagine being the same height as the freaking basketball hoop and still getting absolutely steamrolled. I mean, just look at the size difference. This dude can literally eat her out standing up. A 1 foot height difference. He's retired, a D3 player, and she's making horrible calls, and yet he's still cooking you. And on top of that, he even handicapped himself with a freaking mask. Bro, there's so many reasons why there's a men's division and a women's division. There's just no comparison.
This transgender athlete is doing quite well at women's track in California. An unhappy parent was caught on video heckling during the meet.
That's a boy! That's a boy! That's a man!
Despite Donald Trump's executive order, this nonsense continues. Here you see a transgender softball pitcher who has been dominant in Minnesota. Despite that, it seems like the rebellion only grows. These ladies are one by one refusing to participate in shot put because of a transgender athlete on the opposing team.
Abigail Wilson!
Gabby!
Females must be protected in our division. This is unfair. I refuse to play.
That is another female athlete standing her ground, refusing to compete against a transgender competitor.
I've been saying this for the longest, and I'm sure anyone with half a freaking brain cell will agree with me. Look, women's sports is not a backup option for mediocre or failed male athletes. It's just not fair to the female athletes. Look, the girls must refuse to participate and let the trans start their own sporting event. So great job on them.
We see you take a knee, and then the official comes over. What did you say to the official at that point?
Initially, I told them that I was refusing defense because this person is a man and I am a woman, and this is a women's tournament, and I refuse defense on principle.
We don't always get dramatic video as a result. Third college volleyball team refuses to compete against transgender opponent, forfeiting game. The truth is, this is the most effective way for women to fight back. And more big-name sports figures are speaking out. Here's Charles Barkley.
Men should not play sports against women. If anybody think that, I think they're stupid. I just think it's wrong, period.
Kirk Herbstreit, the host of College Game Day, responded to the question, should men be in women's sports, with, of course not. Ridiculous question.
You had to know that when you put that tweet out, there was going to be a reaction. Come on. You had to know.
I didn't give a shit, though. I don't really give a shit at all. Like, I'm done giving any shits at all about any of it. Way more positive than negative. I'm sure people are upset about it. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't have a daughter. I have 4 sons. If I had a daughter, I'd probably be way more outspoken about the discussion.
Even California Governor Gavin Newsom apparently sees the light.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that.
Even though this is in California. But of course, it isn't his fault, you see.
Turns out in 2014, years before I was governor, there was a law established that established the legal principles that allow trans athletes in women's sports.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the $1 million question of the day. Please answer this for me, because it doesn't make any sense. Now, if genitals don't define sex, then why does chopping them off affirm it? Please make that make sense. And you know, I notice a severe lack of trans men in male sports. You know, today I identify as a disabled athlete. Paralympics, here I come.
And you got to stop walking around like you're not better than men. You, as a woman, are better than every single man on this earth. There is not a man walking, dead or alive, that is better than you as a woman.
You sure about that?
He needs some milk.
Go, Kylie, go. Good job, Kylie. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Wow, look at her go. Woo! Great job.
I'm also a swimmer. There are some girls on my team, they use the argument that if you're at a certain point in your transition, then you are equal to a woman. And I was wondering how you would refute that argument.
The science of this has been heavily discussed. 1 year testosterone suppressant, which is what the NCAA suggested is enough to make a man a woman, does not change the fact that men on average are taller. Men have larger bones. The physical shape of males is actually their hips are narrower than ours, and the reason we have wide hips is so we can have babies. And in terms of swimming, if you just push off the wall and you know see how far you glide, men actually push further because their bodies are more hydrodynamic. Men have larger lungs, they have larger hearts. All of those factors are not taken away when you suppress your testosterone and you take estrogen. There is, of course, a little bit of change, and you do get slower and you lose a little bit of muscle mass. Your heart size is not changed by that. Your bone density is not changed by that. Just looking at testosterone, that is one hormone in the human body. There are hundreds of other hormones in the human body as well as those physical.
Just the fact that this conversation even needs to happen is an absolute disgrace.
That's what you get for being a fucking retard, you fucking loser.
Let's talk about how we are going to protect
women and girls. And I would appreciate if we can have video of some examples how our girls can actually got hurt.
Those girls should have refused to play under those conditions. This is an absolute embarrassment to humanity.
Like,
what is a woman?
I mean, honestly, I believe that if you do feel like you are a woman, you have every right to, if you truly feel that you are a woman and you want to express yourself as a woman, you can do that.
I want to show you a video of the British women's deadlift and bench records being broken.
Awesome. Okay. Holy shit.
This is the person who broke those records.
Okay, of women's deadlift?
Of women's deadlift.
Okay.
His name is Zuby.
Okay.
He was a woman for 5 minutes.
What does that mean, he was a woman for 5 minutes?
He identified as a woman for 5 minutes.
During the competition?
Exactly.
Was when he identified as a woman?
Correct.
But he doesn't now?
Correct.
And he didn't before?
Correct.
That's very interesting. Do they were there qualifications to show that he was a woman, or
it's just a feeling?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is cognitive dissonance at its finest. She knows it's wrong, but can't say it.
You're saying if you're not a woman, then you shouldn't have an opinion.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is?
This is actually a genuine mistake. I am sorry I even came up there.
You want to tell us what a woman is?
But let me just ask you this.
Senator,
a total of 5 teams, 5 women's volleyball teams, Wyoming, Southern Utah, Utah State, Nevada, and Boise State all had to forfeit 7 games in their conference play, NCAA conference play this past year, women's teams, because a biological male under your rules was playing on a rival's team. How is that not denying them the benefits of the sport? Why is this fair to women?
And when that issue went to federal court, the judge sided with participation.
No, the NCAA did not go to court.
No,
that is not true.
The federal judge made the decision with respect to the issue you just raised.
Your rules have not been tried in federal court, and your rules explicitly permit biological males in women's sports. And I am asking you, why is that fair to the women? All of these women on these teams had to forfeit games and therefore a chance to compete in the championship because of your rules. And I want to know, why is that protective of women? That's my question.
So far, the federal government on the court side has issued decisions several times.
No, I'm not asking you about the
year.
courts. I know what the courts have done. Not one of them
that's
has
their
ordered the
interpretation
NCAA.
of federal law.
This is your policy, which you will not defend because, frankly, it's indefensible. Why are you, Mr. Baker, why are you allowing biological men to play in women's sports?
Because we believe that's consistent with federal policy.
So we're right back to your testimony is you believe you're compelled to do it by federal law. You would change it otherwise?
We believe our policy. I said in my opening comments to Senator Kennedy, the clarity on this issue at the federal level would be very helpful.
Oh, that is such a cop.
It should be woman versus woman only, because the comparison between men and women is just not the same. Because just have a look at this.
She humiliated untrained men until she met the wrong opponent.
This woman is a social media influencer trained in martial arts. She enjoys sparring with untrained men on the street to feed her ego. But her cocky attitude made people pray for the day she'd meet the wrong opponent. And that day would come. She finally meets her match, an amateur fighter. He doesn't look intimidating at all, but he's dodging all her punches. And when he returns fire, she becomes a punching bag. He stays out of range and unloads. It's an absolute boxing class. He's only using straight punches, and her high guard begins to fade away. She's not even looking at him now, just cowering away, getting beaten into submission. Looks like she's got quite the headache and a bruised ego. So, was this a lesson in humility, or will this never happen again?
Not a full lesson, just a demonstration. This dude was way too nice to her.
Booing on the podium, that clip went viral. But I thought the most powerful part was not only how the rightful state champion was cheered and applauded and how the boy, when he stood atop the podium, was booed. I thought the most powerful part of this video was the response from the girls and their body language on the podium. Even without saying words, you could feel and see just dismay that these girls were feeling.
I mean, there were such ridiculous things as I was the one who got the crowd to boo, and that I had been all year advocating against this kid. I didn't do anything.
And now we've seen boys win a girls' high school track and field state title in 5 states. 5 out of 50. I mean, that's 10% of states, and it's only exponentially increasing.
I honestly just don't understand how these boys can look at themselves in the mirror and just be proud of this kind of win. It's an absolute disgrace.
Because I'm a girl, I throw your hands with a man too. You can be next. Light skinned.
Flashback.
This is the kind of person that starts fights in fast food restaurants. She's far more irritating than intimidating.
I don't understand how your position is tenable if gender and sex are separate.
So my only point that I would like to make is when you say men's and women's sports,
yes,
I would like that to just simply mean people who identify as men, people who identify as women.
But it doesn't.
Not right now, no, but it could.
And it doesn't because of biological differences. Sports are separated due to biological differences.
They are right now, yes.
And there's a reason for that.
Well, I mean, not
for the safety of women.
Well, and then it just goes back to the same argument. We kind of are going back to that.
No, it's not going back to the same argument. You haven't addressed it. For the safety of women.
Well, we went back and forth on the data of does it actually harm women in the sense of like, because I mean, obviously you mentioned like broken orbital bones and all that stuff in combat sports, which injuries are going to happen in the realm of, obviously an orbital bone is a pretty serious, I mean, that's a bad one, but injuries are going to happen in the realm of combat sports, citing that as being as dangerous to women.
Do you not believe that there would be more injuries occurring in contact sports if biological men just competed, if there were no men and women's divisions?
He's basically saying someone's feelings is more important than other people's safety. Bro, please make that make sense. Sometimes logic cannot override emotions. Facts are facts. This is why I will never argue with emotions, because you will never get any logic or common sense. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.